Yo, what's going on, guys? So this video will be a little bit different. For those of you that do not know, Raven's skill 1 has been bugged, so that's why Solar Raid was taken offline, and ShiftUp has been working on a fix. Now that was almost a week ago, and now, several hours ago now, they have put out an update that apparently they fixed Raven. So today we'll be mostly talking about Raven's skill 1 and how her new numbers compare within the current roster and see how much she has been improved. Now, if you are interested in hearing me explain her skills in full and talk a little bit more about her teams, you can click the thing on screen right now and check out my video from a week ago where I talked about all the stuff. Most of the information in that video is up to date except for the damage table and the skill recommendation at the end. So take a look at that if you're interested. As far as this video goes, we'll be talking about mostly what has been changed since then. And so to start off, let's see what ShiftUp has said about the update and sort of the dev notes. Alright, so here we have the dev notes that ShiftUp has put out on their official NIKKE EN page. Now I'll link this down in the description so you can read the whole thing if you want to, but we're gonna be mainly focusing on Raven here. They apparently changed a lot of things. They say that they're sending us compensation. We'll check out what that is in a little bit. And so I read through this a little bit. I skimmed through it. Most of it relates to the mini game within the event and some QTE stuff for bosses and a little bit about some of the skins that they're selling right now. But we're mostly interested in Raven and Solar Raid. So I don't think they really wanted people to know about this too much, about this issue with Raven. So as you can see, it's all the way down here at number 18. They fixed the Raven's skill 1 issue, right? They don't say much more about that, so that was kind of a waste of time. But here at 22, changes to schedule of Solar Raid were made, right? So obviously they closed Solar Raid because of that issue with Raven's skill. So yeah, that's all they say about that. So let's take a look at what the compensation is that they were talking about. So this is the maintenance gift. Looks like we are getting 300 gems. A little bit disappointing, but I'm not gonna be complaining too much about this. Let's see. Yep, just 300 gems. So that's the compensation for the week-long suspension of Solar Raid and Raven's fix. Alright, so here is the new skill 1. Activates when performing a full charge. One enemy unit is affected nearest the crosshair. Deals 68% of final attack as sustained damage. Up to 10 stacks, lasts for 10 seconds. Activates when entering full burst and affects 47% of the caster's attack for 10 seconds. So this is the same as the pre-fix skill 1 description, and I'll put a screenshot up on the screen right now so you can compare them, but nothing changed. The description of skill 1 is the same. Alright, so now for spreadsheet time. Now this may look a little bit convoluted at first, but bear with me, I will explain everything as we go forward. So first off, these numbers right here, these are the pre-fix numbers, right? So that's why it's in red. This is no longer applicable, and these are after fix numbers right here, all of these numbers right here. So first I compared all of these teams. I retested them down here. So if you look at the first number with Trust, Leader, Raven, Red Hood, Helm, first before fix she was doing 69% of Red Hood's damage, and now she is doing 103% of Red Hood's damage. So I'm comparing this number to this number. As you can see, these numbers are a little bit bigger in general than these. That's because I gained a few synchro levels over the past week, so that's why. So I retested these and compared them right here. But in general, as you can see, is that all of these teams are performing much better. So looks like Raven is doing more damage than both Laplace and Red Hood in every situation. Oh, I mean, besides this one, it's pretty damn close. So the fix definitely worked. And then so you can see here, Helm, Crown, Mermaid, Raven, Red Hood, and Raven doing almost the same damage. And so there's actually 3 best performing teams for Raven out of these ones that I tested. And first one is this one that I just mentioned with Crown, Helm, Mermaid, Red Hood, which she does 1.152 billion damage. The other one is right here, Crown, Leader Raven, Laplace, and Helm, where she does 1.12 million or billion damage. Laplace is lagging behind a little bit, doing 991 million. And the third one, which I previously discounted as something that was basically unviable, not really worth looking at, but this time, after Raven got buffed, I guess that charge speed buff actually is more worth it, where she does 1.1 billion damage. Obviously Laplace is not benefiting from that charge speed damage as much, and so you get a much higher 147% of Laplace's damage here. However, it confirms that Raven benefits from charge speed buffs by quite a bit. So Maxwell might actually be making a comeback as a off-burst 3 support for Raven. And lastly, I compared again Raven with Eve in this generalist team with Crown, Mermaid, Helm. Before she did 830 million damage, now she did 1.16 billion damage. And before she was doing 90% of Eve's damage, and now she's doing 124% of Eve's damage. So again, just as we expected, Eve is not as good as Raven. Compared to Raven, Eve is kind of mid, not gonna lie. So Raven really making a comeback with this fix. Now, if you go over here, I wanted to compare the pre and post fix Raven. You know, making a comparison of that, see how much she increased her damage, and as you can see, it's 152% here, 152, 151, 155, right, all the way. I mean, and then as compared to this team with Eve, 139%. And so when you average all of these out, it comes out to about 150% of her damage after the fix. So that's a huge DPS increase for Raven, making her one of the better Iron DPSs, probably in the top 3. You know, you got Rappi, Red Hood, you got Red Hood, and you got Raven, and then probably Laplace after that, and that's Treasure Laplace, by the way. So for all my Raven fans, huge W, okay? Now moving on to her post-fix skill investment. This changed a little bit from my previous assessment. What I said before was that it was 777, but her skill 1 damage actually increased more than I anticipated. So now I'm recommending upgrading skill 1 to level 10 first, 4 on skill 2 and burst skill, and then going up to 7 with burst skill taking priority over skill 2, just like I said before. And then for her overload lines, nothing changes. Elemental damage, attack, and charge speed are the best lines for her. However, again, like I said previously, a little bit of max ammo is also good for her. However, if you're using max ammo buffers or cube, you may not need this. So that's why max ammo is not as important as, for example, charge speed, and definitely as important as these highly effective generalist buffs. And now for my final thoughts. So initially I said I'd recommend getting 1 copy of Raven because she is a call-up unit, but after the fix I can safely say that she's a decent candidate to max limit break. Her fix was substantial and her damage increase is tremendous. Okay, Now, currently she is in the top 3 iron DPSs in the game, with Rappy Red Hood and Red Hood being still better than her across most content in the game. And before the fix, I ranked her A tier, and now I'm giving her an SS tier ranking that I believe she might even maintain after the solo raid is over. So overall, she lacks the damage and the utility to be ranked any higher than that. Obviously, solo raid bosses are tailor-made for the collab units most of the time, so the collab units tend to do way better against that boss than outside in any other content in the game. However, with that said, definitely pick her up while she's here. MLB might be worth it, like I said. However, the lobby screen is not that great. So if you MLB units for the lobby screen, then check that out before you pull, so you don't get disappointed. And that is going to do it for this updated Raven review. Let me know what you think of the Raven fix, and if you think the compensation was enough. Last time when Cinderella was broken, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they gave a 10 pull, and right now we got 300 gems, so a single pull, right? So I think that's quite a step down. As far as the fix goes, I'm very satisfied with the fix. She is now actually a usable unit, and she might see use way longer after the collab event is over. But that's enough yapping. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.